Here's more of the Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show, 7:45, 15 minutes before 8 o'clock. And this Saturday morning, I encourage you to rise up and head down to the Clarion Hotel at University and 6:30 for the Arkansas Federation of Young Republicans 2014 primary debate. Candidates who are vying for seats of governor, 2nd Congressional District and 4th Congressional District, as well as two of those running for Attorney General will be participating in a debate. We'll also be broadcasting it live here on 96.5. You can listen online as well at 965thevoice.com and hear the candidates debate the issues. And all this week, we have been bringing you the candidates and give you a little preview of their message coming up on Saturday. We're joined right now with Congressman Asa Hutchinson. He is a gubernatorial candidate. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning, Alice. Good to be with you.
I appreciate you joining us in a big event coming up on Saturday. And I want to ask you, first off, one of your recent ads that you have running on television, you highlight your key issues, standing up to Obamacare, tax cuts for middle class. You talked about sanctity of life, Second Amendment rights. What are you hearing from the people as you travel the state of these issues that you view as critical? What are they telling you? This is what I want you to really focus on and commit to me. You will have this as a priority if you are to be elected governor.
Well, the people of Arkansas, they want to know your core values, and that's the reason for that ad. I talk about my history, obviously what I stand for, and that's what people want to know first. And, of course, there's incredible issues we face, whether it's over taxation and job creation. The great concern people are expressing about Washington and the overspending. Obamacare is an overriding concern that continually is brought up. And so, this message that of my core values is really what they need to hear so they know who I am and how I'll approach each of these challenging problems. But when it comes to health care, you can be talking to a waitress in a diner, or you can be talking to a large business person, and they all express the same thing, and that's the frustration with what's happening, both to our freedom, but also the cost of health care and their lack of choices whenever it comes to Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. And so that's what they're raising out there as I go on the campaign trail.
And clearly on the Arkansas level, we have the private option, which is the legislators passed this measure, which is a way of, as some would say it, we got Obamacare, we did not want Obamacare, and they say we took a bad situation and tried to create something workable for the people of Arkansas and created the private option, which creates a somewhat of a more marketable way to achieve health care. Where do you stand on that? If you were in the legislature, would you have supported it, or serving as governor, how would you have responded if this bill landed on your desk?
Well, there's no discrepancy or problem in saying you're opposed to Obamacare because, that's a national vote that's going to have to happen. Congress is going to have to deal with that. I think it's the wrong direction for our country. But it's the law, and they've assigned a responsibility and a program to Arkansas that we've got to decide what we want to do with. The legislature voted the private option. I view it as they voted it in. Let's see if it works. Let's see if it's affordable over the long term. It accomplishes our objective. It actually helps our real hospitals. And then decide whether this is the plan for the future or whether we need to end it. I think that's the right approach to it. The legislature constrained back the marketing of the program, scaled it back somewhat. And so let's see how this develops over the next 6 months and what changes are made in Washington. I think that's the prudent approach. Obviously, this last session, the legislature funded it after extenuous debate, and certainly I would have signed that into law after the Republican legislature voted it in and supported it. But all along, had I been engaged in the process, I would have been able to shape it, in the direction that I wanted it to go as well.
Right. And certainly with the Republican lead in the House and Senate here in Arkansas that gives greater leverage. How do you see moving forward if you were to be elected as a Republican and understanding that we will continue to maintain control in the House and Senate, the dynamics of the next legislative session, if we were to have a Republican governor and Republican control in both chambers, how would the dynamics of laws change and the shape of our state change with that type of leadership?
Well, first, that's why this election is so important. It's not a given that we're going to be able to maintain control. I think that's the great opportunity, and I think we can, but we got to really have a good election cycle and offer good candidates, which we've done. But in terms of the dynamics of it, first of all, we're a broad-based party. There's going to be debates within the Republican ranks as to the right direction. We've always got differences of opinion. I think that's healthy. But also, we've got some conservative Democrats there that I would certainly reach out to on legislation, and so I'm very inclusive as we develop the way forward for our policy, whether it's health care or whether it's education. And so I don't see anything different other than the fact that we're going to have more conservatives there, and then we will be able to look at issues like efficiency of government in ways that they've never been looked at before. We can look at tax cuts in ways that they haven't been looked at before, because you've got a united Republican governor who ran on tax cuts, who ran on job creation, who ran on local control of education. That gives a great deal of momentum as you go into the legislative session, and I think will help guide it. So elections are very important, and what you campaign on is very important because that'll define what we do.
Right, no doubt. And I want to talk about taxes here. You are running for governor, I guess is Congressman Asa Hutchinson, running for Republican candidate for governor, running against Curtis Coleman, and on the Democratic side, obviously, Congressman Mike Ross, as well as Lynette Bryant running. But you have rolled out a tax plan. Curtis Coleman, your challenger, has as well. Explain what you can, your tax plan, how it plays out, how it will help this economy in your view, and how it contrasts with that of your opponent.
My tax plan was the first one to be introduced. I was the first one out of the gate on it. I addressed comprehensively lowering our state income tax rate so it would make us more competitive with our surrounding states in job creation. That's the motivation of it, and it was targeted toward the middle income as a starting point, and then we can expand it from there. Governor Beebe even called it a prudent plan, and so it's very doable. It's very specific, and it's got an objective of lowering the rate. You contrast that to my Republican opponent that has 5 or 6 different tax cuts they want to do, which is all good, but you got to set priorities. And in terms of Mike Ross, his tax plan does not have the objective of lowering the marginal rate, so it would not have a job creation competitive advantage. He just wants to index the rates and keep them at the same level they are now. And so I'm very pleased with where we are in our plan and how clear it is and how it's very doable to actually reduce the rate on middle income and be competitive in our job creation.
I think that will be a key issue coming up Saturday in the debate. I'm anxious to hear both of you talk about that and explain the difference and see the contrast. You mentioned competitive advantage, and I want to ask you, we've got a little over a minute left, the recent fundraising numbers out, and Democratic candidate for Governor Mike Ross is leading the pack, a little ahead of all the others. He is reported raising $220,000 in March, campaign spending $138,000. You reported raising $200,000. Spending $280,000. So as it stands now, Mike Ross has $2 million cash on hand. You have $1.2. Got about 40 seconds left. How do you see that shaping the race?
We develop a campaign plan, and you work your plan, and you can't simply react to what your opponents are doing. For example, we've spent money on television advertising because that's our plan. Mike Ross is down right now. In terms of the fundraising, we've beat Mike Ross 2 out of the last 3 months, And so we're very pleased with our fundraising. Raised over $200,000 last month. We've raised over $2 million. We're right on target. There's going to be plenty of money in this race. We're on TV. The response has been fantastic, and we'll just continue to work the plan to win in November.
All right. We appreciate talking with you. asaforgovernor.com. We appreciate you talking. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Thank you, Asa.
Thanks, Alice.
All right. Asa Hutchinson, Republican candidate for governor. That wraps it up for this edition of the Alice Stewart Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us tomorrow. Stick around. Glenn Beck is next. Have a great day.
Brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
The Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.